All right, let's just talk endo and exothermic real quick. So endothermic, that would be when heat comes in. All right, but it also would mean something like if you had a beaker and something was happening inside that was endothermic, you would feel that beaker is cold. So if you put your hand on something endothermic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers, whatever, I don't care, that would be cold. All right? And that's because when we say heat in, we mean the heat is going into the reaction, which means that it's using up heat or it's taking heat away from me. If heat is taken away from me, then I feel that as cold. All right, so heat in. Another thing that you need to know versus with endothermic is this graph we just talked about in our last lab book, the how fast. An endothermic reaction, the products end higher than the reactants. So make sure that you're comfortable with that. Also, the last thing that you need to make sure you know with endothermic is in a reaction, let's say A forms B. If it's endothermic, that means it needed heat or it used it up to form B. Now, endothermic is the exact opposite. Exothermic. Exothermic, if you felt something that was exothermic, you put your hand on that, that would feel hot to the touch. All right? Our graph here, if it's exothermic, your products have less energy than your reactants. Please make sure you're drawing these in your little notes for your study guide. All right, and then the same thing as before. If it's exothermic and you have A goes to B, exothermic would mean that heat was produced or given out. And that's why, once again, if I put my hand on it, I'm going to feel that heat. All right? So anything that is exothermic will feel warm. Anything that's endothermic will feel cold. An endothermic, an easy example is if you touch an ice cube. The ice cube absorbs your heat, meaning your heat goes into the ice cube to melt it, and thus you feel cold. So that's endo and exothermic. When we talk about heat, just real fast, the units for heat in science are either calories or joules. You don't have to have that memorized, but you may or may not see those in a problem at some point in time. So just make sure that you're comfortable with that.